Good morning, children. Yesterday we have studied about different agents involved in pollination. That is, we have studied about abiotic agent, wind and water, as well as biotic agents that are involved in pollination. Then you have also studied about what is double fertilization. I hope except 8 all others have responded well, that you have completed up to double fertilization. So today we will be reading about or learning about what is artificial hybridization, and it is a technique mainly used in plant breeding. This technique is mainly involved in plant breeding. What is a hybridization? It is a cross between two plants in order to combine the desirable characters present in both the plants into a single one. This technique is mainly used in plant breeding. Hybridization is combining the desirable characters present in two different plants into a single one. That is called as hybridization. So, for example, you have selected a rice plant. One plant is having high yielding character, but it is susceptible to diseases, whereas other plant is having low yielding capacity, but it has disease resistance. Now we want to combine high yield as well as disease resistance into a single plant. Then we have to use a technique called hybridization. Clear? We are combining desirable characters present in two different plants into a single one. Now how we have to carry out this technique? So for example, we have selected a female parent. If the female parent is bisexual, then first what we have to do? We have to do emasculation. So what is emasculation? So you have seen here, this is the flower taken from a plant. The plant is considered to be a female plant, but it has which flower? Bisexual flower. Now from this flower, first we have to remove the anther before the pollen mature. We are removing the anther before the maturation of the pollen. This technique is called as emasculation. What the meaning of emasculation? You have selected a female plant having desirable character, but the plant is, we are considering it as a female plant, but it is producing bisexual flower. Then first we have to remove the anther before the pollen mature. That is called emasculation. So now you have removed the anther. Can you see here, with the help of a scissor we have removed the anther. Now the flower is having only the female part. Now what is to be done? Immediately after emasculation, the emasculated flower should be covered with the bag. You have to cover the emasculated flower with the bag. Preferably the bag should be made up of butter paper, or you can use a polythene bag also. So why you are using bag? This technique is called as bagging. So why we have to do bagging? To prevent the contamination of undesirable pollen grain. To prevent the contamination of undesirable pollen grain. And the bag should have minute pores on it so that the flower can respire. Clear now? First you have selected a plant. The plant we considered it as a female one, but it is producing bisexual flowers. So first we are removing the anther before the maturation of the pollen grain. That is called emasculation. After emasculation, the flower should be covered with the bag, preferably made up of butter paper, or we can cover it with the polythene bag. Why we are doing bagging? To prevent the contamination of undesirable pollen grain. But the bag should have minute pores so that the flower can respire. In the next step, we are collecting the pollen from another desirable plant and it is dusted on the stigma. We have collecting the pollen from another desirable plant and it is dusted on the stigma. Now again what is to be done? Again you have to cover the flower with bag. So in this technique, bagging should be done twice. Clear? Artificial hybridization, it is a technique used in plant breeding. The main purpose of the technique is to combine the desirable characters present in two different plants into a single one. So we are selecting two different plants. One we have selected as a female plant, but it is producing bisexual flower. In that case, what is to be done? Emasculation should be done. Emasculation is the removal of the anther before the maturation of pollen grain. Then after emasculation, the flower should be covered with a bag, preferably made up of butter paper, or we can use polythene bag also. Bagging is done to prevent the contamination of undesirable pollen grain, but the bag should have minute pores so that the flower can respire. After bagging, we have to collect the pollen from another desirable plant and it is dusted on the stigma of the female flower. Then again bagging should be done. So in the entire process of artificial hybridization, bagging should be done twice. Now next one, for example, we have selected a plant as female one. This female parent produces only unisexual flower. Then there is no need for emasculation. We have selected a plant, we consider it as a female one, but it produces which flower? Unisexual flower. Only female flower it is producing. In that case, there is no need of emasculation. So only female flower buds are bagged before the flower opens. Then again, we have to collect the pollen from another plant. It should be dusted on the stigma and bagging should be done. This is how we are using the technique called artificial hybridization. Is it clear? This technique is called as artificial hybridization. Now after fertilization, what are all the changes that are taking place in a plant is called as post-fertilization event. After fertilization, the events that are taking place in a plant is called post-fertilization event. So after the process of fertilization, the endosperm development occurs, development of embryo takes place, maturation of ovule into seed, maturation of ovary into fruit occurs. That means after fertilization, zygote will form the embryo, primary endosperm nucleus will form the endosperm, ovule will form the seed, ovary forms the fruit. Now what will happen? What are the other parts are there? Sepals, petals and stamen wither away. Clear? After fertilization, zygote forms the embryo, primary endosperm nucleus form the endosperm, ovule forms the seed, ovary forms the fruit, whereas sepals, petals and stamen wither away, that falls off. But there are some plants like brinjal or tomato. There you can see even the presence of the sepal on the fruit also. Okay, there are some plants Even after fertilization also, the sepals exist. So among the two, first which part will form? First embryo will form or endosperm development occurs? Always in angiospermic plants, first the endosperm develops. Endosperm development precedes embryo development. So why endosperm has to develop first? Because the main function of the endosperm is to help in the nourishment of the embryo. The main function of the endosperm is to provide nutrient to the embryo. So first endosperm is developing. So now let us see how the development of endosperm occur. Initially what will happen? The nucleus of the endosperm. You know that endosperm is triploid because it is the fusion product of male gamete with the polar nuclei. Male gamete is a haploid, polar nuclei is diploid, so primary endosperm nucleus is triploid 3N. The nucleus of the primary endosperm continuously undergoes mitotic division. That is, only karyokinesis occur. Primary endosperm nucleus divides mitotically. Later on, cytokinesis takes place. Later on, cytoplasmic division occur. Cell wall formation occur from peripheral side towards the center. This is clear. Primary endosperm nucleus is of triploid, that is continuously undergoing mitotic cell division. First only nucleus divide, that is called free nuclear division. After that, cytoplasmic division or cytokinesis occur. Now cell wall formation takes place from peripheral side towards the center. Then it makes the endosperm cellular. So now what is happening? For example, let us take coconut. So if you take coconut fruit, the wall of the fruit is called the pericarp. Outer part is called which one? Epicarp. Middle is mesocarp. Then the inner is of endocarp. Here you can see the fluid part is the free nuclear endosperm, whereas the white kernel, what we are consuming, is called the cellular endosperm. So in case of coconut, very clearly you can see free nuclear endosperm as well as the cellular endosperm. And another feature is that normally when a person recuperates from any type of diseases, doctors advise him or her to take the coconut water, tender coconut water. Why they are advising? This free nuclear endosperm is rich in nutrient content. Clear that endosperm is rich in nutrient content. So initially in a angiospermic plant, always endosperm development precedes embryo development because endosperm provides nourishment to the embryo. So the primary endosperm cell will undergo mitotic division. First nucleus alone will divide and form a free nuclear endosperm. Later on, cell cytokinesis occur. This is followed by cell wall formation. Cell wall formation takes place from peripheral side towards the center and then it forms a cellular endosperm. So if you take the coconut, it is a fruit. Wall of the fruit is pericarp, outer part is epicarp, middle is mesocarp, inner is endocarp. The water represents the free nuclear endosperm. The white kernel, what we are consuming, is called the cellular endosperm. Now once the endosperm is developed, This is followed by the development of the embryo. Here it is followed by the development of embryo. So this is the how the development of dicot embryo occurs. This is called the zygote. And what is the ploidy of zygote? Zygote is diploid because it is the fusion product of male gamete with the egg cell. So zygote is diploid. This zygote will undergo mitotic cell division. So first it is forming 2 cells. Then it will form 4, 8. Likewise continuously it will divide. And then it is forming a globular proembryo. This is called a globular proembryo. This globular embryo consists of a bulb-like structure and a filament. The filament is called a suspensor. The filament part is called, the stalk is called the suspensor. Its function is to push this proembryo deep into the endosperm so that it can take all the nutrients from the endosperm. Now the globular embryo forms a heart-shaped embryo. Then after some time it will form a matured embryo. So first zygote, it is diploid, undergoing mitotic cell division. It forms 2 cells, 4 cells. Then the number of cells continuously increases, forming a globular embryo. It has a stalk called the filament and a bulb-like structure. The function of the suspensor or the stalk is to push the proembryo deep into the endosperm so that it can absorb all the nutrients. Now it is forming a heart-shaped embryo. Then it forms a matured embryo. This matured embryo is having how many cotyledons? 2 cotyledons and an embryonal axis. The matured embryo is having 2 cotyledons and an embryonal axis. Now the part of the embryonal axis above the cotyledon is called epicotyle. This will form the plumule, whereas the embryonal axis below the cotyledon is called a hypocotyle, that forms the radicle. So plumule will form the shoot system, radicle will form the root system. This is how the development of dicot embryo takes place. So first endosperm will develop, that is followed by the development of an embryo. In a dicot plant, zygote is diploid. It will undergo continuous mitotic division to form first the globular proembryo having a suspensor and a bulb-like structure. The suspensor pushes the proembryo deep into the endosperm so that it can absorb the nutrients. Then it forms a heart-shaped embryo and finally it is forming a matured embryo. The matured embryo consists of an embryonal axis and 2 cotyledons. The part of the embryonal axis above the cotyledon is called epicotyle, that forms the plumule. Plumule will form the shoot system. The part of the embryonal axis below the cotyledon is called a hypocotyle, that forms the radicle. The radicle develop into root system. This is how embryo development occur in case of a dicot plant. Now if you take a monocot embryo, in a monocot plant, again the zygote is of diploid. It will undergo cell division and form the embryo. The same way it occurs, but the embryo consists of only 1 cotyledon. This single cotyledon is laterally placed and that is called scutellum. The cotyledon is so laterally placed, so it is called a scutellum. The embryonal axis, lower end of the embryonal axis has a radicle, but here the radicle is covered by concentric sheath called coleorhiza. Similarly, just above the embryonal axis, epicotyle is seen that forms the plumule. Plumule is covered by concentric sheath called coleoptile. So if you see the development of monocot embryo, the same way development occurs. But monocot has how many cotyledon? Only one cotyledon, that is laterally placed, that is called scutellum. The embryonal axis, the part of the embryonal axis above the cotyledon is called as epicotyle, that forms the plumule. Plumule is covered by concentric sheath called coleoptile, and the part of the embryonal axis below the cotyledon is called as hypocotyle, that forms the radicle covered by concentric sheath called coleorhiza. This is how the development of monocot embryo takes place. So first endosperm development followed by embryo development. Now next one is about fruit. What is a fruit after fertilization? The fertilized ovary is called fruit. And you have studied last year, the wall of the fruit is called a pericarp, outer layer is epicarp, middle is mesocarp, inner one is endocarp. There are three types of fruits. One is true fruit, second is false fruit, third one is parthenocarpic fruit. True fruit means after fertilization, if the ovary forms the fruit, that is called a true fruit. What is a pseudo fruit or a false fruit? If the fruit is formed from any part of the flower other than the ovary, then it is called a pseudo fruit or false fruit. That is, if the fruit is formed from any part of the flower other than the ovary, then it is called a pseudo fruit or false fruit. Example is of apple. In case of apple, thalamus or the receptacle part forms the fruit. So it is an example for pseudo or false fruit. Now third type is called as parthenocarpic fruit. If the fruit is formed from unfertilized ovary, that fruit is called a parthenocarpic fruit. If the fruit is developed from unfertilized ovary, that is called a parthenocarpic fruit. Example is of banana and seedless grapes. But you should have a clear idea about parthenocarpic fruit and parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis is development of a new organism from an unfertilized female gamete. If the female gamete directly formed a new organism without fertilization, then the process is called parthenogenesis. You have studied turkey is an example for parthenogenesis. Development of male honeybee is by means of parthenogenesis. Remember, the word carpi represents fruit. So parthenocarpic fruit means fruit developed from unfertilized ovary. Now what is the significance of fruit? The main significance is in most of the plant, seeds are well protected inside the fruit. Second thing, fruit provides organic acids, vitamins and nutrients to the seed. Next important function is, along with the fruit, the seeds get dispersed and they can colonize or they can occupy new habitat. So it helps in seed dispersal also. So these are the significance of fruit. So today's class you have studied about what is artificial hybridization, how it is being done both in case of a female parent having bisexual flower or unisexual flower, what is emasculation, bagging, and what is the significance of bagging. Then you have studied about post-fertilization events, that is development of endosperm, development of embryo, and fruits and its types. Go through up to this today. If you have doubts at any time, you can clarify through your WhatsApp group. Thank you.